Hey everyone. So I had a question on social media, I think it was off Twitter. Someone was asking me how I go about organizing all of the information that I create over the course of a large book like To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, or over the course of a series like The Inheritance Cycle. And I think that's a great question, so I'm going to do a little video on this and discuss it because it's an important thing to think about. When you tackle a large project like this, having everything organized makes a huge difference. And the reason you want to do this, I'm sure you can think of quite a few yourself, but one of the big reasons is simply to maintain internal consistency and also to help you develop the cultures, the characters, the languages, and so forth. Now, there are a number of ways you can go about organizing this information. The simplest way would be to do it in notebooks. That's not ideal though, because it's hard to access, it's hard to reorganize, hard to alphabetize, and so forth. You certainly can use notebooks, and if all you have is a pen and paper, you have the tools you need to make this happen. If you do have a computer though, it's going to be easier, or a smart device. If you have a computer, then the simplest way to simply create some different files in MS Word or Pages or Scrivener or whatever program you're using, and devote one file to the languages, one file to people, places, and things, and if you really need it, maybe another file to history and technology and things like that your created imaginary world might need. This then becomes the foundation of your Bible for your world. And then as you write, what you do is whenever you create a name, whenever you create a place or a thing or something that should be recorded, something that's not of the real world, that is important to yours, or even trivial, but it is unique, you're going to stop writing and you're going to copy and paste that name or that piece of information into one of those other files. Now, that's the idea. In practice, I don't always do that because I don't always like interrupting the flow of writing. So what I will instead often do is highlight the name or phrase or word or whatever that is important, and I'll just drag it onto my desktop as a clipping, and then every week or every couple of days I'll input those into my files. By doing this, I catch about 80 to 90% of the names, places, things, and so forth in the books as I write them. And when I finish the first draft, I then have a rough guide, a rough collection of this stuff, and that gets finalized over the course of the editing, and my early readers will help with that as well. There are just so many names and so many variations in the books that I write that keeping track of all of them really does take some effort. Now, if you want to go above and beyond the normal, if you really want to take your organizational skills to the next level, what you do is build yourself a personal wiki. Now, I actually have had my assistant do this for me, and it's been incredibly useful. There are free wiki programs on the internet. You can find some that'll work for you. And the advantage of doing this is then you can create hyperlinks to different pages just like you would on a website. I mean, it basically is a website. And that makes organizing the information really easy. You do have to learn a little bit of HTML to write in a wiki, but it's usually not too bad. It's just a little bit of formatting stuff you have to futz with. Now, that personally is my top choice these days, but overall, however you organize your information, you do need to organize it. And it's been incredibly useful for me. I've had more than one occasion where I've forgotten the color of a character's hair, or I've forgotten the exact spelling of a name, or I have alternate spellings that crept into my manuscript, or even just when revisiting old material, like when I wrote The Fork, the Witch, and the Worm back in 2018, and then it was released in 2019, and I was revisiting the world of Algasia. There were a lot of things I had to reacquaint myself with, and that's where the wiki came in handy. Because, of course, with a wiki, since you can hyperlink to pages, those pages don't have to be just a name. They don't just have to be a flat piece of information. You can have a lot of text there. You can even have images, and that resource is just really useful. So those are my recommendations on how to organize information. There are some other options out there. You could create a document map in MS Word, for example, and have all of your information in one file in MS Word. That's a perfectly acceptable solution. Document maps are really nice because they let you jump around in a document simply by clicking on the document map. If you want to know how to create a document map, if you've never done this before, it's very simple. You simply apply a style to whatever you want to appear in that document map. And it needs to be one of the header styles. So what I would do would be, let's say I'm doing people, places, and things, and those are going to be in one file. So I would type in people, I would do a couple of spaces, and then I would insert a page break. On the top of the second page, I would put places, and then on the top of the third page, I would put things. And then people, places, and things, that text, I would apply the style of header 1 or header 2, whatever header style I want to apply. And then if you go to the navigation pane in MS Word, you will see the people, places, and things appearing as entries in the document map. And then you can click on them and jump. And if you want to create subcategories in the document map that you can also navigate to and collapse and expand, then you just use the different heading styles. Like if you use header 2 for people and then you want to have a subcategory for elves or aliens or whatever, you would use header 3. If you used header 2 for people, then you would use header 3 for aliens or people. And that works really well also. That's sort of the budget version of a wiki. There's no real limit to the size of a document you can build with that, but putting images into an MS Word document is kind of unpleasant, as I'm sure all of you have discovered, so I'm not sure I would go that far, at least with a Word document. Now, if you have any art, whether it's concept art that's inspiring you or sketches you've done yourself, those should be organized as well. No real recommendation there aside from keeping it in the same folder with your book and organizing it in a way that makes sense to you. Along with that, if you're inventing languages, that definitely requires the next level of organization. You'll definitely need a document just for that, and you'll need to put a lot of attention into that. So probably the biggest tip from all of this would simply to be conscientious with recording the names, places, things, technology, whatever you want to save as you're creating them. So you're not having to go back through the manuscript once it's all written and trying to catch all of that as you read through. A, that interferes with reading through, and B, it's just a lot of work. It's just a lot easier to do it as you create. So that's my recommendation. I hope that helps someone. Hope that helps some of you who are working on large projects yourselves. And as always, go forth and be awesome.